As a former NBC News anchor, David Gregory is used to asking tough questions, but in his new book, he writes about some questions asked of him. One of them, how is your faith? And David Gregory joins us now with more on his book, How is Your Faith? Now, the first question you said was raised by President George W. Bush to you. Tell us about that.
Well, Ephraim, it's good to be with you. You know, it's a question, as I covered President Bush for the entirety of his presidency, that came up several times. You know, I've been studying with a biblical scholar for about 8 years now, and before I got to meet the press, and when I was still covering the White House and was taking on, you know, more importance in my life, the spiritual path was. And the president had heard about it and would ask me occasionally, most notably when, right after I'd gotten to meet the press job, how's your faith? And that became the title of the book. It was a penetrating question then, and even now as I think about it, but it was one some might even think was rather uncomfortable to ask a reporter covering you. But I never felt the president was prying or trying to force views on me. He was interested in the path, and it led to discussions about his own faith journey, the importance of his own relationship with God. And as I expressed to him, you know, the study I was engaged in, how I thought it could only make me a better person, husband and father, to deepen my faith and to connect to my wife's Christian belief. It was something that he was very supportive of, and talked about how much his own relationship with God had been a source of comfort and strength for him during the most difficult days of his presidency.
The timing of that question is telling as well, just as you're about to ascend to that job. Of course, you're no longer with NBC right now. How did that whole public loss affect your faith?
Well, you know, I can't say that my faith always held me. You know, I mean, I faced a real question. My teacher, Erica Brown, who's a biblical scholar, asked me, and I write about this extensively in the book, about essentially who would you be if you lost it all? And it was not a question when she asked it that I'd ever contemplated or was thinking about a lot. And I think it was hard. Leaving something that I'd been doing since I was 18, you know, was difficult. That question of who are you? And that identity was difficult for me. And, you know, in the course of the book, I spoke with Dr. Russell Moore, who was the head of the policy arm of the Southern Baptist Convention, who said, you know, whether you're a public person or the manager of the hardware store, it's ultimately that question of who are you? Do you see yourself as someone who's made in the image of God, or someone who's just kind of out for himself? And so I think that question of, you know, who am I, what my identity was something that I struggled with for a while, and faith has been helpful for that. Not just a steadying influence, but also a very humbling one.
Indeed. Now, the second question that you mentioned actually came from your wife, and that is, tell me about that one.
So my wife, Beth, was raised in the Methodist Church. I'm Jewish. And we early on, like a lot of couples, were thinking about how did we want to raise the kids. And I was quite intent on being a Jewish family. And she was willing to go along with that, but she challenged me and said, you've really got to know your faith. And if you're going to lead us, you need to lead us on a spiritual path. And the question she asked me is, I know what you are, but what is it you believe? And I think her reference there, for a lot of Jews who grow up as I did, you grow up with a cultural identity, an ethnic identity, but not actually with a lot of belief or a lot of knowledge of the faith. And she challenged me to dig deeper, to really understand what I believed, and not only who I was, but who I was trying to be. And that question resonated with me and still does.
So what was it that moved you to write this book and be so open about your experience?
You know, I don't think I've ever experienced anything like the spiritual path and seeking a deeper relationship with God. I mean, I think a lot of the questions, you know, that led me to study, you know, who am I? Who do I want to become? What more is expected of me? I was experiencing that kind of spiritual longing. You know, before I ever got to meet the press, I was so thankful for my life and my wife and my kids and my career, and yet I felt there was something more. I think, like a lot of people, I was seeking to live a life of deeper meaning and understand what that was and what was expected of me, and that put me on this path. And I think the process of writing the book was also really a reflection of my journalistic curiosity. I've always been someone who's liked to ask big questions. And this is me asking questions of myself and faith leaders about the most important questions in life, about who we are, where we're going, who we're trying to be. And I really enjoyed having an opportunity to ask someone like Joel Osteen about how he counsels someone who is asking how to deepen their faith. And Pastor Joel talked about, that I and a lot of people have that void where they're searching for more meaning, and that God tends to reveal himself to people who are like that. And the process of the book then became so fulfilling.
Many people wondering, so what's next for you? We can't find you on NBC right now, so what's next for you?
Well, I'm enjoying talking about the book and thinking about faith as a part of my journalism. I love being a journalist. I love asking questions. I love to do interviews. I'm having a lot of interesting conversations and trying to figure out what's the best fit for me as the next chapter. So stay tuned.
My last question for you may be a little bit off topic, but I recall watching the Today Show one day when you were filling in and Mary J. Blige was performing. But I was taken in the background because you are quite the dancer. Has Dancing with the Stars come calling?
My man, Ephraim. Look, these things are all related, right? Because where words fail us, sometimes God intervenes. And I love to dance, always have. Somebody's here on set with me behind the camera who may have been there when I was dancing when Mary J. Blige was there. No, I haven't thought about Dancing with the Stars, but rap and hip hop is something I love and love to dance to. And, that was an opportunity that was simply too good to pass up with MJB there.
I saw you enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.